You give into black supremacy. That's all that matters to a person whose mind is situated in black supremacy. A mind who's situated in white supremacy want to know, well, are you guys buying school supplies for the kids? How many school supplies did you buy last year? Dumb shit like that. We got to do something in white supremacy to validate and justify. But the fact that we have given you black supremacy so consistently, that doesn't amount to anything. What have you done? You don't know the rebellion and the resistance that we have went through just to bring this video to you. Just to keep coming to you with this pure, unadulterated, potent black supremacist conversation. That is a work in and of itself. You should give to that so that can become more. So you can see more of that. But you say, no, stop that. I want to see what y'all doing as it relates to white supremacy. Show me how you have done that, and then we'll give to you. Say, we don't even want your money. Fuck you. Because we're saying fuck white supremacy. That's the reality. They said, well, I'm looking for something to invest in. When investments, all that deal with in white supremacy. Black supremacy is abundance for black people. There are no investments. It's total abundance. Do you feel me? Total abundance. The investors are only rich with their investments. Am I right? Black supremacy is wealth for black beings outside of white supremacy and the matrix, right? It's a reality. And a force that is building up against white supremacy. Resources that are building up against black supremacy. An arsenal of resources. A treasury that is building up against white supremacy. I know we need that. I know that's important. But people have to have a black supreme mind. Because otherwise, it doesn't make sense to give anything to anybody black. Am I right? As a white supremacist, it doesn't make sense to give anything to anyone black unless you have a white supremacist reason. Or somehow that's connected to the thought stream, the logic, and the rationale of white supremacy. It makes sense. But in Africa, it makes sense to give to ourselves, to have wealth, to have our own kingdom of wealth. It only makes sense. To the African American, it don't make no sense. It doesn't. What makes sense to the African American is, nigga, you should have a job. You should be working for the white man. That makes sense. You should be under the white man. I don't know. Why are you asking me for money? You should be under the white man like me. That makes sense. You shouldn't be building up something that could support us and so we have something outside of white supremacy. Then they say, I'm pimping the system. But you pimping the system, but that bitch ain't giving nothing to black supremacy. How you pimping? You pimping the system and black supremacy ain't getting nothing? You still are a hoe of the white man. You really the white man's hoe with the pimp's clothes on. Mm-hmm. You feel me? You on the stroll. If you pimping white supremacy, then black supremacy should be getting something, right? You ain't giving nothing to black supremacy talking about I'm pimping it. You giving it right back to white supremacy. You a hoe. You a white supremacist hoe. You feel me?
Yeah, you working for them?
Black supremacy ain't getting nothing? You're lying. Who you pimping for? You pimping white supremacy for white supremacy. Am I right? You get this money from white supremacy, so I can give it back to white supremacy. Give my student loans. I'm pimping the system. Give my student loans so I can give it to the white man. Huh? You pimping white aristocracy. You follow what I'm saying? To give it to the white middle class, the businessman. You giving it, it's going back to the white man. That's the reality. So if you pimping the system, something should be coming to black supremacy. Not keeping you going within the system. I'm just going and going and going and going and going within the system. How are you pimping the system? So that line can be stopped. We can get rid of that.
Caught up.
That's you teaching. So, we don't need a revolution. We need a rebellion. We need a lot of people to start saying no to white supremacy. If we can get them to do that, in that strong no, they'll start coming up with other stuff to do. And guess what everything else that they come up to do is going to be? Black supremacy. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. Only thing that you can do after you say no to white supremacy is you can get bored and go back to white supremacy, or you can start creating black supremacy and raising black supremacy. The only option left once you say no to white supremacy. You say no to the restaurant, what do you got to do? Cook. Make a black supreme soul food meal, right? Once you say no to them, you say yes to black supremacy automatically. So we don't need a revolution as much as we need a rebellion. Our revolutions are really reformist. Our revolution, our reformists, and our rebellions, our rebels are the real revolutionaries. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? The people that just talking about they want to make a revolution, those are your reformists. Your rebels are your real revolutionaries. That ends my part on that. The next part I want to talk about is going back in. I really want to go back into my first point a little bit when I was talking about the black supremacy being the main, because I want to make sure that I touch that hardcore. That everything else that we do arises from black supremacy. Nothing else has value. The only value that something has outside of black supremacy is value in white supremacy. And in black supremacy, every other category becomes secular. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? If you say, I'm a polygamist, but you're not a black supremacist, then you are a polygamist in white supremacy. You are a white supremacist, polygamist, Joseph Smith. White supremacy is secular. Anything that you're not doing from the vantage point of black supremacy, you would have to be doing it from the vantage point of white supremacy. There's no middle ground. So none of them other categories exist. Some of those categories that have been created are created out of people scared to come out and say they are black supremacists. You don't have to say, I'm a vegan. Because if you're a black supremacist, then you believe in supreme health for black people. So your diet reflects what supreme health is. Am I correct? Black supremacist encompasses the complete diaspora of all of your actions, of what you could do. It means that you're supreme in all levels of your actions. What type of marriage do you have? Supreme one. What type of food do you eat? Supreme food. Do you hear me? What type of sex do you have? Supreme sex. I don't have hetero sex. I don't have homo sex. I don't have white sex. I have supreme sex. Black supreme sex. Black supreme food. Black supreme relationships. That's all that matters. All the other ones encompass a little bit of doubt. Just a little bit. When you say you have a supreme relationship, it sounds like you don't have any doubt about what you're doing. You say, I have a marriage, it sounds like, okay, well, how are you dealing with that? That sounds like a problem. Don't it? Don't when you think of marriage, you think of, damn. Wow. You must have some problem. How do you deal with that? Like a disease. Every other category. I'm a polygamist. Oh, man, that must be a headache. Wow, you got 2, 3 of them? Whoa. You say I have supreme relationships, no doubt comes to it. Right. There's no doubt. What are you going to say? Oh, you got a supreme. Oh, wow, what's that? Now I can teach you and raise you to black supreme consciousness. I ain't going to be talking to you about polygamy and all this shit for hours. And you have self-doubt, self-lack, self-limitation, so you ain't going to be able to do none of the rest. If you don't have a supreme realization, you're going to fail at everything. There is no specified knowledge that can save you that you can be given. You're going to fail at everything you do if you're not going at it with a supreme attitude. I guarantee you. Without a black supreme attitude, black marriage failure. Black diet failure. Black sex failure. Black entertainment failure. Everything is going to be a failure if you are afraid, don't have the courage, don't have the willpower to do it and stand up in it as a black supreme being. How could you be black and be anything other than supreme? How could you? How could you have a problem with being black and supreme and wonder why you fell in all other aspects of your life? Because you don't want to stand up and be supreme. If you can embrace being supreme and take the responsibility of being a God, of being a divine entity, if you can stand in that, then the rest you're gonna succeed in every other thing that you do. Do y'all hear me? The rest, if you can't be a supreme being, well, are you a black supremacist? Are you a black supreme being? Well, I don't know. So I know you have problems, don't you? You have a lot of problems, don't you? Yeah. Of course. How's your marriage? Terrible. How's your diet? Terrible. But find somebody who is a supreme being. There's a supreme mindedness. What are they doing? Everything is supreme. How's your day? Supreme. Now watch what type of conversations and what type of situations you find yourself interfacing with as a black supremacist, as a black supreme being. If somebody's in doubt about themselves and lack, you're not going to be able to have a relationship with them. You're not going to be able to have a conversation. Well, I don't deal with black supremacy. I mean, I'm into black failure. You know, I don't know if we're going to be able to work this out. You know, I'm into black mediocrity. Right. So I don't know. Status quo. So when you say you're a black supremacist, then that sets the standard for everything you're about to do in life. You know, you push black supremacy to everything else is fixed. Black supremacy is the solution to every problem in every area of life that we can have. Because it forces us to take immediate and instantaneous responsibility. To respond to our divine ability to create and be the solution that we want to see. We're the solution right there. So all these little categories can be left alone. When the most blatant disease we suffer is lack of confidence, low self-esteem, and lack of surety, which guarantees failure in all of our other actions. Anybody that's saying they polygamous, I already know. Just because you're saying that, you're going through hell, ain't you? Tell the truth. I'm married. You're going through hell, ain't you? But if you say I'm a black supremacist, I already know. Everything is going right. Everything right. So when you get that part, every other thing you're doing is going to be right. Because it is a lack mind, a fear-based mind, a limited mind that has produced limited results. It's not the situations and circumstances that you go through. It's the person that you go through them as. It's the mentality that you have, the attitude that you go through these situations and circumstances of life with. And if you go through them with a defeatist attitude, if you go through them with a lack of surety, with a half-assed perspective about yourself, then what's going to happen? What's going to be the results? So the first responsibility is to get every individual to declare them, every black person to what? To declare themselves as what? A black supremacist.